You were lied to. I was lied to. Everybody that's in our generation was lied to about corporate America and what it takes to provide a great life for your family. What we were taught was go to college, get a degree, get a job with a good company, get really good at your job, and continue to move up. And then you'll continue to move up, and then you'll retire, at the end of your career. But nobody warns you what's happening across corporate America. Typically after 10, 15, 20 years, you're going to hit a ceiling. And today I'm going to walk you through exactly what your options are if you want to stay in corporate America. I'm going to share my experience, and then if you want to exit corporate America. So, my name's Dustin Neff. I consider myself an anti-career coach. I worked for Nike for nearly 20 years, mostly in retail, ran different stores, marketplaces. Then I went to supply chain as an operations manager. Wanted to move back to Little Rock, so exited Nike and worked for a Fortune 100 company in an industry I had no idea about. But I'll share my philosophies and the results that I had. Really cool. But for the last 3 years, I decided to exit corporate America. I've started 3 businesses that have really been so much fun to learn. And so today I'm going to do a deep dive and walk you through exactly what your options are. When you hit that ceiling, we're going to walk through the options of staying in corporate America and the options of being your own boss. So for me, wanted to work for Nike since I was 12 years old. And luckily, I got that chance and, moved up pretty quickly. So within 6 years, I'd moved up 4 levels and I had my first store in Baton Rouge. So really cool. Got to prove myself, won some contests, got some nominations for Manager of the Year. It's a Maxim Award. It's the highest honor you can get. Didn't win, but I had my I had my acceptance speech ready, but I didn't win. From there, I opened the first Nike store in the state of Arkansas. So really cool. Wasn't really familiar with Little Rock, but it was awesome. So grew that business from 0 to $8 million, promoted 16 managers to 27 positions, and had the number 1 employee engagement 3 years in a row. And this is in different marketplaces because we always got moved around like the redheaded stepchild. But I hit a career ceiling where I just could not get to the next level. And I thought it was something that I was doing wrong. I thought it was my inability to interview. So I had interviews in Portland multiple times and, kept getting that same call from the recruiter. Hey, you got second place, or we're going to go with somebody else. And so there was one issue that I had, and it was my ability to sell my unique value in interviews and conversations. And so I figured that out in 2019. And once I did that, that kind of got me to the next level, got me past that plateau. I got 3 promotions in less than 2 years. I tripled my income. And basically I just took my skill set and applied it in different cities and in different industries to see if it worked. And it absolutely did work. But I kept running into that same ceiling. It just happened a lot quicker. So today, like I said, I'm going to walk you through my journey and what your options are, because a lot of you are probably running into that same issue. So the most important thing when I think back, so just quick story. I moved from Memphis, which I absolutely love Memphis, graduated college there, have so many great friends there. But I moved from Memphis to Gulfport, and my first interview, I think I was 6 months into this role, and I was kind of handpicked for this next role, which was in Florida, and I absolutely bombed the interview. And I was the only person that they interviewed. That's how sure they were that I was going to be that next person. So I got that call the day before Thanksgiving, and they said, hey, we're not going to go with you. We didn't interview anybody else, but we're going to open it back up. And the reason why is because you didn't talk about people one time. So right then and there, I switched my strategy. And I was always people first, but I was like, man, I am going to hang my hat on developing people. And once I did that, I later got promoted and, a ton of accolades in the Nike world. And then, Little Rock, I opened the first store in the state and grew that business from $0 to $8 million, promoted 16 managers to 27 positions, had the number 1 employee engagement score in the entire district. And really, I just people first. Like, I didn't want to make all the decisions and then my next manager and then pass them down. I wanted decisions basically to be a servant leader. I wanted everybody to feel like they made decisions and kind of created that flywheel. And fun fact, the coolest customer compliment we ever got. So anybody that bought something, they could fill out a survey. How was your experience? This is how it was. They said that I can't tell who the manager is here because everybody acts like the manager. And I thought that was the highest compliment you could get. So I'm kind of getting sidetracked here. So let me just kind of refresh. Moved to Little Rock 2011. 2015, we had our first child, me and my wife. We got married in 2012. So built a lot of the family stuff in those 4 years. And then I was like, okay, well, let's get back on the grind and see what's next. And I just kept hitting walls because, one, I thought it was like I wasn't getting enough recognition. I thought I was in the market I was in was too small. And I knew that I wasn't a great interviewer. So in 2019, I paid somebody to redo my resume, and it taught me after 2 weeks of research, they said, write down every win you've ever had in your career at every role, every company. And that taught me something really important. It taught me how to identify my wins and articulate them. So, me being able to do that and me being able to teach people that, in Little Rock alone, I promoted 16 managers to 27 positions in a really small market. After I left Little Rock and went to a bigger market in Memphis, sky was the limit. Promoted over 80 people in my time there. But went to a really tough marketplace and grew that business from 11 to 16 million. And same deal, employee engagement 63 to 88. Got a bunch of my managers promoted, but there were nowhere else for me to go. There were no spots open, so I hit that ceiling. And I had started a relationship with the distribution side and went through an interview process and got a huge promotion. I think it was like a $40,000 raise. And I now had 31 managers. I had 250 employees. I worked cross-functionally with 1,000 people, and I didn't know anything about distribution. I just knew that if I invested in people and found out where they wanted to get in their career and help them get there, that I would be successful, and was. Now, the hours were absolutely atrocious, 4 p.m. to 4 a.m., Tuesday through Friday, but now I was off every weekend. But ultimately, we wanted to get back to Little Rock, so I left Nike, went to a Fortune 100 company, once again, knew nothing about it. Took over a business that was $1 million down, so it was a $41 million business. They were trending to do $40 million, and by the time I left, we were at $42 million. So a $2 million swing. We went from one of the worst stores out of 1,800 stores in the company to number 2 in the district, number 3 in the region, number 4 west of the Mississippi, and top 1% sales increase in the entire company. So phenomenal results, and it all basically came down to putting people in the right positions, figuring out a couple things operationally. But to me, I had huge success when I was in Little Rock, and it was, I started to wonder, is it just because I built this from scratch? Can I do this other places? So I came to the spot of, okay, well, let me try my strategy in another market. So moved to Memphis, absolutely worked. Grew it from 11 million to 16 million, $0 profit to 3 million, employee engagement from 63 to 88. Got over half my management team promoted. So that same strategy worked in a different market, but still I wanted to do something different. I did the same thing for nearly 20 years. So went to supply chain, tremendous results, went to a different company. So I say all that to say this: you're going to hit a ceiling, and your options are you can keep going for your next promotion, or you can try a different role within your company, see if you can get there quicker, or you can go outside of your company and see if your leadership style or your skills work in that industry. And odds are they will. But what I quickly found out is after a year, you're still going to hit that same ceiling. So fast forward, I realized that I was done with being managed. I no longer wanted to ask permission. For instance, when we moved back to Little Rock, it was my son's first day of school. I'd been on this job maybe 2 weeks, and I wanted to take him to school his first day. So I literally had to sneak out. Like, it's not one of those things where I'd be like, hey, can I take my son to school today? Because it was all about that grind. So another situation, I had to leave a big visit, which ran 2 hours over, to go to my son's first tryout. And, when I get there, he's crying because he thought I wasn't going to be there. And that's the trade-off, right? So you're in corporate America, you trade your time for money. You work nights, weekends, holidays. Your family sees you less and less the higher you climb. So I just realized I was done with that. I wanted to control my own time, my own income, my own freedom. So I looked at a lot of different things. So as I take a pause here, so you've heard what it's like in corporate America if you hit a ceiling, the different options you have. So basically 3 years ago, I exited corporate America, and I want to walk you through what that looks like, because in my mind, a lot of people want to have the freedom. They just don't know what vehicle to go in, how to do it, how to exit corporate America. And now that's what I do. I teach people how to use the skills they already have to be successful in their own ventures. So after that, I started career consulting. So helping people move up in corporate. And I did that for about 4 months. And I was I felt like I was chasing people. Hey, I can show you how to move up, make more money. I've done it. And had results, but the market was telling me something different. The first business I did once I exited corporate America was ice cream vending, automated ice cream vending. It's a really cool robot. I think I was the third owner in the United States. Now I'm the biggest owner in the company. Started out with 3 machines. Now I have 8. But the big pivot was once I learned how these machines operated and how to scale that business, a company called on me. It's like, hey, can you do the same thing for our owners and show them, 1, train them on the machine, but 2, show them how to scale their business. And that was an absolute game changer. So I started traveling all across the United States and setting up new entrepreneurs that, thought it was cool, thought it was fun, wanted to create some semi-passive income. So when I was doing that and I was posting content and posting pictures of everywhere that I went, people were reaching out to me a lot. They're like, man, how can I partner with you? Can you help me launch a business? Can we be partners in something? So that right there told me something very, very important is when I was doing career coaching, I felt like I was chasing people. When I started doing my consulting, what I call the anti-career coach, building businesses, and people were reaching out to me like I was attracting them. And that told me that there was an extreme need in the marketplace. And the more people I talked to, I had friends that we were at the same levels. They moved up quicker than I did. But then, they hit a wall, and then they stay in the same role for 5 or 6 years. I've had friends that, bet everything on themselves and made move to corporate offices and worked their way up to like senior vice presidents and things of that nature. But ultimately they still get capped. And then, when downsizing happens, they're the highest salary. So they're the ones that are going to get cut. So they try the same thing, kind of my story, in a different company and have the same results. And then at a certain point, they realize that they're capped and they're like, look, I'm just going to do the bare minimum. I'm not trying to make it to president. I'm not trying to get to this next role. I'm going to do enough where I don't get fired. But ultimately, they're stuck in meetings all day. They have to ask their boss, can they take vacation at this time of the year? All that stuff. So the lack of freedom. That is kind of the last 3 years for me. And it has been so amazing. So corporate America, they teach you what you need to learn to be good at business. They teach you how to, move up, but there's certain parameters in place, and they, typically they have systems that help you, but no matter those systems, at a certain point, you're still going to cap out. So I wanted to share my experience from corporate America. I also wanted to share my experience on the entrepreneurial world. And, I was so fortunate to work for Nike and this other Fortune 100 company for, over 20 years. I learned so much. I became really good at business. I became world class at people, leading teams, employee engagement, customer service, delivering results. But what I figured out is like my value outside of corporate America was so much higher. Like there's no income cap. There's no position cap. I get the ultimate freedom of I work when I want. So just to walk you through what my day looks like, I wake up at 6:30, 6:45. I take my son to school every day at around 7:30. So I've got about 30 minutes where I can just kind of, I've already planned my day the night before. So I can just kind of get my day started, think about what I want to accomplish. I have it written down on a sticky note. I thought I might have it here with me. Take my son to school. Then I go to the gym for an hour. So really amazing. Then after that, I really focus for about a 3 to 4 hour work block where I try to knock everything out. And what I've learned is, man, the workday is so long. Like when I think about working 8 to 5 or 6 to 5 or 10 to 7 or 1 to 10, whatever that is, it's crazy because my day is done at 2:45. I go pick my son up, and then, I can work on some of my other businesses, or, like yesterday, I got him a ping pong table for his birthday, and we were out there playing ping pong and, watched the Razorback game last night, all that good stuff. But I say all that to say this. At some point in your career, you're going to hit a cap. And the cons of working in corporate America is the higher you move up, the less freedom you're going to have, the less time you're going to have with your family. Pros, you're going to make more money, but there's going to be a lot of demands on that. Like I said, I've missed so many weekends. I've missed so much time with my family, with my friends. And now I get to live life on my terms. I've kind of walked it through my daily schedule. So that's Monday through Friday. If we want to take a vacation, we do. Like last year, we went to Puerto Rico, we went to Florida, Branson. So I don't have to ask for permission to take time off. I get to spend the time. And what's really important for me is being a great dad. So if you don't know, like I've never met my dad. My grandparents raised me. They adopted me and my brother when we were 4 and 5 years old. So number one, I want to be a great husband and father and provide for my family. 2 is I want to have a great life that I enjoy. Like I want to have fun. I want to be able to play basketball. I want to be able to play golf when I want. I want to be able to work out. I want to be able to be in shape. And to be honest, I'm probably in the best shape of my life. And, I share all that to say this. You don't have to follow the path that our parents followed or that was taught to us to be successful. The world's changing very quickly, and the people that are getting out ahead of it and they're seeing the patterns, they're the ones that are winning. And, when I talk to people, they're all hitting that same ceiling, and they know they need to make a change. They know there's something better out there. They just don't know exactly how to get there. So that's what I do now. I help people figure out how to exit corporate America in 90 to 180 days, or, if they want to just build it slowly. But from my experience, people that want to move fast are the ones that have the best success, the best results. So anyway, that's me. That is my story. That is the options you can take when you hit a ceiling, if you want to stay in corporate America versus if you want to exit. And if this is something that it's interesting to you, check out some of my other videos. I'll put some description in the bio if you want to connect, talk, kind of figure out what's the next steps for you. But yeah, for me, that is it. Check out some of my other content. If you'd like to connect, reach out. Love to chat with you. But that's it. See you soon.